Good afternoon. It's July 17th. It's a Monday, which is my normal day for walking along the creek, so that's what I'm going to do. But it's in the afternoon because I had to wait around until some workmen showed up as I continue to work to get our furnace and air conditioner working again. They're there now, but once they were in the basement, I'm able to come out, so here I am. Off along the creek. Breaking all kinds of traffic laws, those ones. Those things are vehicles, so you're not supposed to ride them on both sides of the street. They aren't the government ones either. Those are like their own private electro scooters. I was driving to pick up my daughter somewhere on, what night was that, Saturday night? And, no, I don't know, Friday night? Anyway, whatever night it was. And saw a couple of the rental ones. One was on the sidewalk. They say ride on them. Do not ride on the sidewalk. And the other one was riding the wrong way down the street in the face of oncoming traffic. There wasn't any oncoming traffic, but still. Like bicycles. People on bicycles almost never obey the traffic laws the way they're supposed to. You don't notice it when you're on a bicycle, but you notice it when you're driving or when you're walking. When people don't obey the laws. Anyway. Anyway, once evidence, I sometimes have it in my walks. It's going to 24 today. It might be about up there now, but that's all, not too hot. Hopefully tomorrow, now it sounds like, we'll finally have our air conditioning fixed. It was supposed to be today, but it sounds like they may not get it done today. Maybe tomorrow, for sure. And then, as I mentioned, Wednesday I'll be on the road to Winnipeg, so if I'll probably get in a walk tomorrow, then there may not be any until I get back, because I don't think I'll do any. Well, I might do one inside the convention at Winnipeg, because I'm going to be there for the North American Science Fiction Convention, NASFIC, and a walk through the dealer's room might be fun. They're not like Comic-Con style conventions. They're a little more literary focused, and so the dealer's rooms typically have a lot more books and a lot less merch of the kind you would have seen when I did my walkthrough at Sask Expo in Saskatoon. There will be Sask Expo Regina here in September, so I'm sure I'll do a walk through it too when it comes along. Using the new gimbal, it did seem smoother. It doesn't completely damp out footsteps, but I suppose it never has. But it's certainly smoother than the one that I decided just was not doing the job and returned. What else have I been doing today? Publishing stuff, of course. There's always more stuff. Especially now that Shadowpaw Press is part of Lit Distco and Literary Press Group and various other things. There seems to be a lot of data entry I have to do. Hello. And Lakeshore Mall. I have. So I'm sure I will again. Part of my problem right now, again, is that I don't have a car during the day, so I'm rather limited. It's only occasionally that I get a car. And then even yesterday, or Saturday, whenever the last time I walked, I decided not to drive somewhere to walk, so. But, you know, I'll get over there again. I mean, Lakeshore Mall, what I'm thinking of is, there's not much of a mall there anymore. That's where my dentist's office is. Used to have a grocery store, but that's not there anymore. There's a little drugstore. If you go back, you can find some walks in that area, I think. I can't tell you exactly when, but I certainly have done them. Very summery. Feels more summery in the afternoon than it does in the morning. Not just because it's warmer, it's the angle of the light. These bushes continue to grow after being cut way down to make it easier to see onto the path, I think, so it wasn't quite so secluded for safety reasons, but they are growing back. And I'm sure they'll be trimming them down again in a year or two. Go across the footbridge, of course, past the danger thin ice sign. We'll stop for our traditional look to the east. West. Of course, on Saturday I walked down Regina Avenue here on the other side, all the way down to Pasqua Street. But today is a creek walk, so my very first walking in Regina, well, no, that's not quite true. I did a test walk, which is when I kind of discovered I really, really needed to have a gimbal, or nobody would want to watch it. But one of my earliest walks was along the creek here, a little more than 2 years ago now. 2 years and 3 months, I guess. I think it was April or March that I started. Of course, when I started, I had about 40 subscribers, and now I'm over 900. If I can get to 1,000, I can conceivably make a little money. So I'm sure I'll get there. It's just a question of how soon. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. Never miss another walk, no matter what odd time of day I do it. This is a rather odd time for a weekday for me. Normally I walk in the mornings if I'm walking on a weekday. I think we'll go down through Waterfall Park today. So a slightly different route than sometimes. So actually we're leaving the creek, but we will get back to it. Waterfall should be running. It is. It's not a natural waterfall, of course. More like a fountain. Mix. People, dogs. That's our first dog. I'm sure it won't be our last. We'll go over the little footbridge there. There's the fountain. Waterfall, I should say. Oof! It drops through this, goes through this little, not exactly a creek, but a drainage ditch. Kind of a creek after it leaves the waterfall there. It floods down here after the spring melt. And the garden element is coming along nicely. I can hear a jet, but I can't see it. It's behind the trees. Let's go through the grass over here. Although it is a nice little path that way too, which just leads you to Elfenstone Street. Hello from Athens. Hello in Athens. Costas. Middle of the night over there, I would think. Or late evening, anyway. Playground. Over to the baseball diamonds over here. I have to remember that the way I have this set, whether I look up or down, it stays centered, which is helpful, but I do have to remember if I want to point the camera at something up above, I have to use the joystick like that. Still getting used to this setting, but I think overall it's the best one. Once I get the horizon where I want it, it stays put. So, baseball diamond here, and the clubhouse and concession stands and so forth, washrooms. There's about, I don't know, 4 diamonds of varying levels of stands provided. I think this is kind of the main one with the lights. And it'd be a softball diamond, not hardball. You can tell the fence is way too close for it to be hardball. Slow pitch is the softball game of choice around here. I don't think they play hardball on these diamonds. To me, they look a little small. I'll follow the driveway out of here. Now, if I can jaywalk, I might go over into the neighborhood across the street instead of going down to the creek. Take a somewhat different path than I normally do. But that depends on what the traffic allows me to do. The crosswalk is down there, so that's always the best place to cross. And it is unfortunately a rather wide street, so you have to be kind of lucky if you're going to jaywalk here. Nobody coming to my left. You know, people coming to my right, though, so. Oh, those two are turning. I think I can do it here. Yes, I can. Nope, this guy's coming. Looked like he was turning, but he's coming. Changed his mind, which is very annoying since I was planning on that turn. So, I got to run a little bit. Yay! We'll go down Capel Drive here and walk down into this neighborhood and then come back along the creek. This takes us up to Sheldon Williams Collegiate, which of course is not having classes at the moment, being the middle of the summer. High school my daughter would have gone to if she'd just gone to the public high school, but we sent her to Luther College High School, which is a private school. A bit further away. She couldn't walk to it. She could have walked to this one. Used to come here for a band program, as I always like to mention, because the acronym was the Sheldon Williams Area Music Program at Swamp. So I would bring my daughter here to the Swamp on band days. She played trombone. We still have the trombone, but she hasn't played it in a long time. Maybe I should take it up. Cat doesn't even like it when I play piano. He'd really hate the trombone. And he did when Alice played it. So that's Sheldon Williams Collegiate, dead ahead. High schools in Saskatchewan are often called collegiates. Puzzled us a bit when we came up here from Texas, where we hadn't heard that term. I think somebody else has said something, but I can't see it. Maybe not. Yeah. No, let's go walk in front of the school. It's been very dry recently. We had a lot of rain in the spring, but not for quite some time now. So things aren't looking quite as lush, a little more dried out. There might be some rain in the forecast this week. Not a lot, I'm hoping. Last time I looked, there was. I don't know where we stand with that. There's the football field and the track. Oh, down there you can see the dome of Mosaic Stadium. Not really a dome, but the, what would you call it? Pavilion cover? I don't know. Anyway, the bit of a roof that covers one side of the stadium. It's not completely covered, but there is some shelter over portions of the seats at least. Ironically, you get more shelter if you sit further away from the field. We sit pretty close to the field. Our season tickets are in row 11, right on the 50-yard line, so, which is not quite the middle in Canadian football because the Canadian field is 110 yards. So center field is 55. We're darn close. And only 11 rows back. So pretty good seats, although in some ways you get a better view from up at ground level, which is about row, I don't know, 28 or 30 or something like that. And you're still fairly close, but you can see the whole field. A little. Well, we can see the whole field, but you get a higher up angle on things. Nevertheless, those season tickets have been in the family since the 60s. So they did a really good job of matching the tickets from the old stadium to the new stadium. Oh, hey, that reminds me. I was on national TV at the last Rider game on Saturday night. The starting quarterback, Trevor Harris, went down with a really bad injury, so they had to take him off the field in a motorized cart, and we were all applauding, of course. Well, maybe not of course, but we were applauding. And so the camera panned over the crowd, and there we were. And within minutes of that, I was getting texts, messages from people who had seen us. Oh, you were on television. There's Sheldon Williams Collegiate. As I said then, there's nothing like being on national television to make you realize you need a haircut. I'd like to get one before I go to Winnipeg. I don't know if it's possible, because the air conditioning people will be back again tomorrow morning, plus our cleaning lady's going to be there. And I don't know how long I'll be tied up, so I can't really make an appointment. So I suspect I'm going to have to go with a slightly shaggy head of hair to the American Science Fiction Convention. Sheldon Williams Collegiate, home of the Spartans. Oh, there you go. If you're still there from Athens, see, we have Spartans here. Actually, there's a large Greek community. That's not why this is called the Spartans, but it's a large Greek community in Regina. A lot of Greek restaurants, a lot of restaurants that aren't necessarily Greek, run by Greeks. Now this vehicle, this road building over here is an Indian, as an East Indian. I can't remember. Yeah, you can see the sign there if you look. I assume it's a school. I don't know much about it except that it's here, and I walk by it all the time. Well, not all the time, but whenever I come this way, I walk by. And there's their playground. Oof. I see the caretaker's wearing a turban, so he's probably Sikh. Wascana Drive. Very popular name around here. Wascana this, Wascana that. Which way shall we go? The creek is down there. We'll go this way. I think I normally come in down there, so I probably walked along the next street down a little more often than this one. Probably a neighborhood from the 60s, once these houses were built. Anytime somebody tears down one of these older houses and builds a new one, the new one is like way bigger than what was considered kind of an average sized house then. Doesn't look like there's been a lot of new houses infilling here. Even the ones with new siding look like they were probably the original house that's been rebuilt or renovated. These are the houses that I think of from when I was a kid as being kind of nice, normal houses, which we never had. Because we rented, never owned a house, and there's really only one I remember as being kind of a normal house. There was a little house that was on the grounds of a farmer outside Lubbock. I remember that one. Then we rented one in Texas, which was not very big. 2 bedrooms, I think, was all. I don't remember. It certainly didn't have a basement, so it was quite small. Had a pretty nice backyard, but it was also rented. It was belonged to the neighbors next to us who had what I thought was a really big house, but would now seem like a fairly small house compared to what people are building now. That was in Tulia, Texas. And we came up here and we were in apartments that had been put into the old barracks buildings of the Commonwealth Air Training Base in North Weyburn, which is about 4 miles outside of Weyburn. And yeah, I think my parents never owned a house. Rented their whole lives. And I wouldn't own one, except I married into a family that had one. So the house we're in belonged to my wife's grandparents originally. It was built in 26, so it's coming up on 100 years old. But they moved into it in 39. And they lived there, and then my wife's parents lived there, and now we live there. Had it completely renovated a few years ago, almost. down to the studs, took out all the lath and plaster, put in new insulation and drywall. Now we're building a little addition. We built a deck. Now our furnace is gone, so that's being replaced. That's what they're working on right now. And with the furnace out, well, really, it was the blower motor and the, here's one of those rental ones. The blower motor and the control board. And it was cheaper to, or not cheaper, but made more sense to go ahead and replace the whole furnace, which was getting kind of old anyway. We're on Edward Street, my favorite street, because it's named after me. Well, me or King Edward, one of the two. I prefer to think it's me, but I suspect not. King Edward or Prince Edward. And that's the creek is dead ahead. We will be there momentarily. And we'll walk back along it. Should be able to see the weir here. Shall we see the weir here? Over there's Louvain, our higher speed north-south route through the city. There's the Louvain Bridge. Now let's see, I think the weir is right about here. But just to be clear, let's take a peek. Is this the weir here? Yes, this is the weir here. Oh, it's barely any water flowing over it, so they're keeping the water high upstream, only letting a little bit through here. That's what that's for, is to control levels. Go down here and walk on the dike. Now, the bridge is completely closed off, so maybe I don't want to go this way. No, I can't get through there. So we'll just come take another look at the creek here. And I'll have to cross. Yes, not a lot of water flowing there. Some. Look that way. Yeah. See the bridge. Under the Louvain Expressway. Okay, well, since I can't go along the dike, we'll have to go back up to the street here. On the plus side, there won't be any traffic coming from my left, so it'll be easy to cross. Somebody said something. What did you say? Who is that? Terry? Good afternoon, Crescent neighbor. I'll be back there shortly. We get past the Pasqua Street Bridge, which has been under construction all spring and summer now. I don't even know what they're doing, but clearly doing something. Wouldn't want to drive that way, what with there not being a bridge there for a large chunk. Yes, road closed. We're down here to the creek. Then decide which side of the creek we want to walk home on. Probably I'll go down and cross the footbridge and then go down the other way, the other side, the north side. Get the feeling it's a little damp in this grass I'm walking through. It's not exactly squishing, but it has that feel. Probably watered this morning or something. There's the creek again. So, yeah, they're keeping the water level up here. They're only letting it slowly through the weir down there. And that's all part of controlling the level in the lake too, although it has a spillway, of course, where the dam is, where where most of that control happens. You have to let some water through. Definitely wet here. Almost stepped in a puddle, or a poodle, as I always said when I was walking with my daughter when she was little. Don't step in a poodle. They were definitely watering here sometime recently. There's a nice view of the creek. As I always point out, probably every one of these trees was planted by somebody. You might get a willow or two growing along the shoreline, that's natural. Some of the shrubby stuff, but the actual trees are almost certainly... I thought I heard something. Ducks splashing in the water there. Try not to be alarmed by the fact there are already yellow leaves on the ground. It has more to do with dryness than incipient fall. More ducks over there by that branch that's in the way. But come late August, which is only 6 weeks away, we'll start to see yellowing. By 2 months from now, it'll look like fall. Which is really depressing because it seems, of course, as it always does, like summer just started. Worse when you're a kid, but even for grown-ups. As a kid, it's more about school. As a grown-up, it's more about weather. And I am extremely grown-up now, I'm afraid. Actually, my birthday is this week. I will turn 64 on Thursday. Not quite a senior citizen for most purposes, although for some I am. I get the seniors rate at hotels quite often, 55 or over. I can get into the fairgrounds for a lower price. I'll start taking Canada pension next year when I turn 65. I'm not putting it off. I could use the money, the regular income, to subsidize everything I will keep doing, because retirement is not something I will ever do. Real retirement, where I simply quit all the stuff I've been doing. As long as my brain holds out, I will keep writing and publishing. Because what am I going to do if I retire? Write a book? Don't be silly. Start a rock and roll band maybe, but that time has probably passed. Go back to university? Could, but by the time I had an engineering degree, I'd be pushing 70 and unlikely to get hired as a new engineer. Not a long-term investment for anybody. So no, I think I will just have to stick with being old freelance McWillett. Words by Willett. Not exactly a business. I've never actually gotten a business license for anything, but I do have a website, Never gotten a lick of work from it, but there is a Words by Willett website. There's both a dog and a baby in a stroller. That would be 2 things on my bingo card if I had one going today. So we'll cross this footbridge, get us back on the same side as the house. So we get another scenic shot looking west. And looking east, more or less. I walked along there last time I came. Actually says Les Sherman Park on this side, but not on that side. There's the freshly painted turtle. And here's the playground. No kids in it, so I can walk through the playground. Try to go down the slides though. I think I'm a little too big for that. It's a shame. I loved a good playground when I was a kid, and playgrounds back then were pretty sad. You had a swing and a teeter-totter and maybe a merry-go-round, and that was it. How excited I was at some park we went to, and it must have been at Julia, although it might have been in Lubbock, for an Easter egg hunt, and they had a little spiral slide. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Of course, these days you wouldn't be able to go around the spiral. Playground size. This is the Neo Mockwell Civic Art Center over here. Oops. At the back of it. Also home to the Regina Art Gallery, one of our public galleries, city-owned one, that one. You can take art classes in here. Something else, if I did retire from writing, I'd probably take up art again, but I think my course has been set, and I won't be making any drastic changes. Most drastic thing I could see coming at some point would be selling Shadowpaw Press, but I'm still building it, so I'm not planning to sell it. Although, make me an offer. Make me an offer. If you'd like to buy a publishing company with a number of interesting titles, to its credit, please feel free to contact me at publisher@shadowpawpress.com. Won't cost you more than $1 million or $2 million. Heck, $100,000 I'd probably do it if somebody really offered it. But again, not going to happen. Why would I sell it? I could take the money and then concentrate on nothing but writing. Because really, I'm a writer, but the publishing is eating up so much of my time, I'm not doing nearly as much writing. And it is becoming a problem, because I do have things that need to be written, so. We'll go back back to the creek here. Now we're on Elfenstone. All right, now we're on the north side of the creek. There's the bridge, there's a rock, there's a nice bench right around the corner here, this little sort of seating area. But there's the creek. I's the bay that walks the creek, I's the bay that sails her. One of the first songs I learned when I came up here as a kid from Texas in school. I's the bay that builds the boat, I's the bay that sails her, I's the bay that catches the fish and brings it home to Liza. And I couldn't for the life of me figure out what a bay was. Nobody had explained about Newfie accents. Newfoundland. And that's where that comes from. Now, since then, I've been to Newfoundland twice and love the place. Go back in a heartbeat. My favorite memory, we were on a tour 2 years ago. It's coming up on 3. Just coming up on 2, I think. Yeah, I think. Anyway, the Great Canadian Kitchen Party, which is an organization that raises money for sports, arts programs. And you pay a lot of money to go on these tours, which are always great, and they're always hosted. There's usually somebody from the sports world. In this case, it was an Olympic curler and someone from the music world. And since we were in St. John's, our music host was Alan Doyle, who was lead singer on Great Big Sea, and he's written a musical which he starred in Charlottetown this last season. Ow. And was in Robin Hood with Russell Crowe, because they're friends. Anyway, one night we did a bit of a pub crawl with him, and we ended up in a place called the Underbelly, which is basically the basement of a brew pub called the Elfenstone. And I sang for the Great Canadian Kitchen Party people, and for Alan Doyle, and for the owner of the Underbelly, which has a lot of music upstairs in its main room. I sang the Arrogant Worm song, The Last Saskatchewan Pirate, which very funny song. The chorus is used as the third quarter stretch at Saskatchewan Fair Games. It's a heave-ho, hi-ho, coming down the beach. It's a ho, hey, hi, hey, farmer, bar your doors. You see the Jolly Roger on Regina's mighty shores. Arr. There's about 4 verses, and I knew them, and I sang them. Went over very well. So, hey, there you go. And, oh, if you go to another part of my YouTube channel, you can watch that, where I have music and theater stuff. There's a video of me. There's also some video of Alan Doyle performing from that trip. So check that out. You can also see, it's not the Underbelly, it's the Yellow Belly proper, where he was performing. So yes, please check that out. You can see me singing some other stuff. My other favorite one on there is the doing all four nuns in How Do You Solve a Problem Like Maria? How do you catch a cloud and pin it down? We did a show, an online show with Regina Lyric Musical Theatre called Flip the Script. So it was gender swapped songs. So boys singing girls songs and girls singing boys songs. And I did the nuns song as all four nuns up against a green screen. So I did each part separately, and then it was all spliced together digitally. And it's very funny, if I do say so myself. So check that out. There's some other stuff there too. My daughter singing, and my wife and I singing, and me singing some other stuff. So go over to that part of the channel and subscribe. Did I mention you should subscribe? Because you should totally subscribe. It's a pretty blue house. I mean, it's a really blue house, but it's a pretty shade of blue. Not pretty as in a relatively blue house. So this alley will take us up to my crescent, Angus Crescent. And then it's just a little bit further, and home shall we be, home shall I be. I missed this house when it was on the Davin School home tour, but my wife says it's very nice. Looks nice from the outside, but somehow I didn't get on that one. Crow's having a few words for me up there. Probably not polite ones either. And another dog. My walks are always dogged by dogs. Mm-hmm. And now we're on Angus Crescent. The house is over there. I talked about the Tommy Douglas house last time I came this way. That's that one there with the pillars in the front, the white one, which is for sale. If you'd like to own a historic property, once belonged to the Premier of the province. I think it should be bought by a venture capitalist, because I think that would be very funny that the first socialist Premier's house, old house, was owned by Elon Musk. Should buy it. I think Elon has nicer houses. It does have an indoor swimming pool, though. It's a bit of a extravagance for a socialist premier, but in the 50s. There you go. This is a very cool house, as I mentioned before. I've been in it. It has a very kind of a small footprint up front, but it's really big inside, and it's open like all the way up there to the front. There's like 3 levels over, so overlooking the living room. My wife would have liked to have bought it. I was concerned that it wouldn't be safe for the cat. We weren't really going to buy it, but that was a concern. Would have been a concern. What if he jumped on one of those balcony levels and fell over? Misjudged it. We would feel terrible. Here's our corner for stopping. I don't think I've missed any. Oh, I did. Hello from Northgate Mall. Not very far away. Sorry, I only now saw that note. Why are you watching me from Northgate Mall? Surely you have more interesting things to do in the mall. All right, here's the corner we will stop at. It's a nice yard over here. So, yeah, thanks for walking with me. I should be back tomorrow, and that might not be for a few days. We'll see. But anyway, bye for now.